Good evening, sir.
Dr. Chetwani, welcome. Thank you for joining us in this episode of Amrita Café.
Thank you.
Um, Hello, everyone. I welcome you all to today's session of Amrita Café. A good discussion increases the dimensions of everyone who takes part in it. I'm Dr. Shoury Kuttappa, and I'm an academic manager with Amrita Institutions. At Amrita Vidyapeetham, we aspire to join hands with institutions, parents, guardians, and professors to provide value based education and mold the character of the younger generation through a system of wholesome learning. According to a recent United Nations report, the COVID-19 pandemic has created a large disruption of education systems in history, affecting nearly 1.6 billion learners in more than 190 countries. Parents, guardians, and students are living through complexities in choosing the best options for themselves. At Amrita Cafe, we aim at serving as a forum to table these challenges and explore solutions to cope with the current education scenario. Via Amrita Cafe, we aim to provide insightful information to usher transparency in and around education. I'd like to introduce today's panelist, Dr. Tushar Chetwani. Sir, please tell us a little about yourself.
See, I am Tushar Chetwani and I am a memory trainer. So I specialize in a subject called mnemonics. Mnemonics is a subject which helps students to memorize things fast, retain it for a long period of time, and they are able to recollect the answers at the right time. So this is all about learning. There is nothing magic in it. These are simple methods which we must be using in day-to-day life, but actually we really help them to use it in a better way, maybe a little more organized way. And these are simple learning techniques. I started my journey in 2008 by teaching school students, then I moved to college students, and then into tax department. So I've been training all kind of students because memory is something which everybody is actually interested in.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Welcome. We definitely like to know more. For those of you just joining us, welcome once again. In this capsule today, we are going to invest the next 30-40 minutes to look at how we can actually understand the techniques of memory. A recorded version of this webinar will be available on Amrita Cafe YouTube channel. Um, we would also love to hear your queries on the topic as we move forward. You're welcome to share your perspectives as well for discussion as the session unfolds. Based on time at hand, of course, we'll endeavor to include as many of these queries as possible. Please do include your names as well when you share your queries. Dr. Chetwani, I would really like you to first invest some time in telling us about what memory is all about, how it works. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So बहुत पहले मैंने सोचा था कि we'll have some presentation or something, but then I thought it should be a little more natural. That is why no presentation, but seriously, we really need to know how our brain works. So uh, I'll give you one simple example. For instance, अभी हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे, and just in our discussion, we started like how our brain works. So if I give you one option that if you want to learn more about memory, you will have to come and stay with me in my house for maybe a day or two. So, if you really want to do it, come and stay with me. And maybe, Shari sir, you and everybody agreed कि ठीक है हम आके आपके घर पे सीखने के लिए रेडी हैं. सो आप हमारे घर आए और आने के बाद इमेजिन कीजिए आप हमारे घर रात में करीब 11:30 रात में पहुंचे एंड यू आर रियली टायर्ड यू सेड आई रियली वांट टू रिलैक्स एंड आप अपने गेस्ट रूम में चले गए और आप वहां सो गए. Morning, when you got up, I'm trying to explain you with an example that how our brain works. So morning, you got up, आपने अपने सूटकेस को खोला एंड एक चीज ऐसी है जिसको आप लाना भूल गए जो नॉर्मली ज्यादातर लोग भूलते हैं दैट इज टूथब्रश राइट. सो आप टूथब्रश भूल गए एंड यू थॉट कि अब तो हमें अपने अपना ब्रश करना है और टूथब्रश नहीं है. सो यू केम टू मी एंड यू सेड, तुषार सर, मेरे पास टूथब्रश नहीं है, सो कैन आई हैव वन? So I said, okay, yes, I have one, which I use on a daily basis. Can you use mine? So what will be your answer? Right? What will be your answer? Sir, no, 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 no. I cannot use your toothbrush. Right? Then I
Yes.
my
Yeah.
answer would be, uh, my reply would be कि sir, मैं इसको ज्यादा दिन से यूज नहीं कर रहा हूँ. It is just 7-8 days. मैं डेली मॉर्निंग में एक बार यूज करता हूँ 2 मिनट के लिए, और रात में एक बार यूज करता हूँ 2 मिनट के लिए, और मैं जब भी यूज करता हूँ इसको मैं क्लीन कर देता हूँ. क्लीन करने के बाद मैं इसको वापस रख देता हूँ. सो आई अगेन रिक्वेस्ट यू टू प्लीज यूज माई टूथब्रश. व्हाट विल बी योर रिप्लाई? विल यू बी एबल टू यूज इट? नो.
No, definitely no.
नो. सो
I
चलिए मैं एक और एग्जांपल देता हूँ. मान लीजिए इसी टूथब्रश के लिए मैंने आपसे कहा, एक और सिचुएशन करता हूँ कि मैंने इस टूथब्रश को अब डिटर्जेंट से बहुत अच्छे से इसको वॉश कर दिया, और नाउ आई रिक्वेस्ट यू टू प्लीज यूज दिस टूथब्रश. विल यू बी एबल टू यूज इट?
now even more so, definitely not.
तो नो. सो चलिए, अगर मैं स्कूल में था जब, तो मुझे पता था कि अगर कोई चीज बहुत खराब हो, जो इन्फेक्शन हो जाए जिसमें, तो उसको एक अगर हम लोग बॉयल कर देते हैं तो उसके अंदर से सारे जर्म्स चले जाते हैं. तो मैंने अब इस टूथब्रश को बॉयल कर दिया. बॉयल करने के बाद नाउ आई एम सेइंग, शौरी सर, प्लीज use this brush which I've been using only for 7-8 days. So will you use it now?
No, still
No.
no.
Still no. So okay, now again your reply is no. ठीक है, मैंने आपको एक नया टूथब्रश ला के दे दिया. अब आपने उस टूथब्रश से ब्रश किया. ब्रश करने के बाद आपने कहा चलिए ठीक है, अब मैंने ब्रश कर लिया, नाउ आई एम रियली हंग्री, हम खाना खाते हैं. तो अब हम लोग डाइनिंग टेबल पे बैठे और वहां पे सारा चीज है आपके लिए, और आपके पास आता है एक स्पून. राइट? और ये स्पून जो है वो 6 दिन पुराना नहीं होगा, ये लगभग सालों से पुराना है. राइट? इट्स बीन एजेस दैट वी बीन यूजिंग. हर रोज एक अलग मुंह में जाता है, और बहुत देर तक मुंह में रहता है, और उसके बाद वो किस तरीके से वॉश होता है, बस थोड़ा सा किया और वापस आ गया. एंड अगेन वी आर यूजिंग द सेम स्पून. हियर यू आर रेडी टू एक्सेप्ट इट. This
Yes.
spoon you are ready to accept it, but
Yes.
you were not ready to accept my toothbrush. Right?
True. Yes.
So our brain is works like this, कि जिस तरीके से बचपन से कोई चीज की जाती है हमें लगता है वो ही नॉर्मल है और वो एक्सेप्टेबल है. राइट? वो भी हमारे मुंह में गया, दूसरी चीज भी मुंह में गई, बट मेरा टूथब्रश जो था वो तो एक जन के मुंह में गया. वो स्पून जो है सबके मुंह में जा रहा है, और उसकी क्लीनिंग भी उस तरीके से नहीं हो रही जितनी मैंने आपको बताया कि मैं इस तरीके से क्लीन करके आपको अपना ब्रश दे रहा हूँ. सो इट इज ऑल अबाउट एक्सेप्टिंग हाउ अ ब्रेन वर्क्स. तो आपने अगर शुरू से मान लिया कि मेरा ब्रेन बहुत अच्छा है, तो आपका शुरू से आगे बहुत अच्छा चलता है. और अगर आपने पहले से एक्सेप्ट कर लिया ये चीज कि मैथ्स इज नॉट माई कप ऑफ टी, योर ब्रेन विल नॉट वर्क. हिंदी नॉट माई कप ऑफ टी, देन इट विल नॉट वर्क. फिजिक्स एक्चुअली आई रियली लव इट. सो आपका ब्रेन उस तरीके से एक्सेप्ट करता है, उसी तरीके के हार्मोन सीक्रेट करता है, उसी तरीके से आप उस चीज को आगे लेके जाते हैं. सो इट इज ऑल अबाउट हाउ यू ट्रेन योर मेमोरी. It's not about good memory or bad memory. It is about training your memory. The way you will train, the way you will get the results. So this is what the intro of memory is. So पहली चीज है ये है कि हम जैसा सोचते हैं अपने ब्रेन के बारे में, ब्रेन वैसा रिस्पॉन्ड करता है. बिकॉज ब्रेन ये एक ऐसा चीज है जो मेरा है. My brain will listen to me. It will not listen to anyone else's commands. So the way I will use it, the way it will become. So now this is all about a little bit of introduction of brain, and we can start interacting with some questions, and whichever way you want to proceed, sir.
I'd also like to invite you to, introduce the concept of
Mnemonics.
mnemonics. As we had just mentioned it a couple of minutes earlier. Tell us what this is. Just introduce this also to us.
देखिए, न्यूमोनिक्स इज समथिंग जिसको बोलते हैं, अगर हम लोग शॉर्ट में एक्सप्लेन करें, इट इज लाइक आर्टिफिशियल और वे ऑफ मेमोराइजिंग थिंग्स. राइट? जैसे नॉर्मली हम लोग जब कोई चीज याद करते हैं आज की डेट में, सो उसको बार बार बोलते हैं और बार उसको सुनते हैं। जितनी बार हम उसको रिपीट करते हैं, हमारे ब्रेन को लगता है कि अब ये और मजबूती से याद हो रहा है। Mnemonics is something which is like very different kind of a thing, and it will make your things easy. Like जैसे विबग्योर है, विबग्योर के थ्रू आपने रेनबो के कलर्स याद किए हैं। आपने उसको रटा नहीं है, बट आपने उसका एक एक्रोनिम बना दिया और आपने वायलेट, इंडिगो, ब्लू, ग्रीन, येलो, ऑरेंज करके कर दिया। तो दैट इज एन एक्रोनिम मेथड विच ऑल्सो कम्स अंडर न्यूमोनिक्स। सो न्यूमोनिक्स चीजों को आसान बनाता है। जैसे कि आपने देखा होगा प्लैनेट्स का सीक्वेंस होता है, लोग रट के याद करते हैं, बट हम लोग कहते हैं माई वेरी एक्सेलेंट मदर जस्ट सर्व अस 9 पिज्जा और मे बी पिज्जा। सो हम लोगों ने उसको याद किया और हमारे को पहले लेटर्स से हमारे को कनेक्ट होता गया और हमने उसको याद कर लिया। जैसे कि बच्चे लोग राइम्स याद करते हैं, छोटे बच्चे राइम्स याद करते हैं, बड़े बड़े आंसर्स राइम्स याद कर लेते हैं। और एक क्लास 10th का स्टूडेंट जो होता है वो डेफिनेशंस भी याद नहीं कर पाता, 2 लाइन 3 लाइन। सो इट इज नॉट अबाउट मेमोरी कि हम बड़े हो गए तो मेमोरी लॉस हो गया, बल्कि हमारा मेमोरी और बेटर हो जाता है। बट हम 2 लाइन के डेफिनेशंस याद नहीं कर पाते, छोटा बच्चा याद कर लेता है। तो वो कहीं पे वो मेमोरी के ट्रिक्स लगा रहा होता है जो बचपन में उसको सिखाया गया होता है। सो हम लोग क्या करते हैं, हाउ वी कैन कन्वर्ट लॉन्ग आंसर इनटू एन इमेज so that we are able to retain it for a longer period of time, and whenever it comes in front of you, then you are able to actually recollect it with an image. So mind mapping कह सकते हैं इसको आप, कि एक हमने माइंड में मैप बना दिया एक पर्टिकुलर आंसर।
Tell us a little more about the history of mnemonics. I believe
देखिए,
it's been around for quite some time.
या
कुछ
देख
हिस्ट्री के बारे में इसका कुछ बताएं।
चलिए मैं बताता हूँ आपको। देखिए, हिस्ट्री क्या है कि जो सबसे पहला मेथड यूज हुआ, जो सबसे पहला मेथड हुआ निमोनिक्स का, होता है कि जब हम लोग कोई भी चीज याद करते हैं तो उसके लिए बार बार बोल के याद करना पड़ रहा था। तो एक किसी जन ने धुन बनाई उसकी, राइट। जैसे आप कोई भी मंत्र वगैरह याद करते हैं या हनुमान चालीसा याद करते हैं, तो यू सी कि जो पंडित जी लोग भी बोल रहे होते हैं तो एक लय में बोल रहे होते हैं, राइट, एक धुन बना के बोल रहे होते हैं। तो वो सबसे पहले इससे आया कि अगर हम लोग किसी चीज की कोई ट्यून बना लेते हैं, तो वो ट्यून अगर बन गई तो हमें देर तक याद हो जाती है, राइट। सो इस तरीके से याद किया गया। फिर क्या हुआ, नंबर्स की बारी आई। तो नंबर्स याद नहीं हो रहे थे लोगों को, तो नंबर्स कैसे याद कर, ये तो वर्ड्स की बात हो गई कि एक हम लोगों ने सीक्वेंस में याद कर लिया और सेंटेंस को याद कर लिया धुन बना के। फिर ये हुआ कि नंबर्स याद नहीं होते लोगों को। जैसे नंबर्स हो गए, मान लीजिए 9838102927 इज अ लॉन्ग नंबर, या क्रेडिट कार्ड का नंबर 5523650000746908। तो कैसे याद करेंगे सर बड़े बड़े नंबर्स। तो तब रोमन और ग्रीक ने पहली बार क्या किया, एक मेथड बनाया नंबर्स को याद करने का, जिसको बोलते हैं फोनिक्स ऑफ नंबर्स। जैसे हम लोग लेटर्स की फोनिक्स याद करते हैं, a ब क ड एफ ग ऐसे करके जेड तक, और उस फोनिक्स को यूज करके हम लोगों ने कोई भी लैंग्वेज जो इंग्लिश के लेटर्स को यूज करके बनी होती है, हम लोग उसको एक्चुअली में रीड कर पाते हैं। बिकॉज जैसे अमृता इज रिटन ऑन द स्क्रीन, तो हमने फोनिक्स को यूज करके अमृता को रीड किया, राइट। बट मान लीजिए नंबर्स लिखे हैं, जैसे मैंने लिखा MEMORY, राइट। तो आपने उसको एकदम से उसके फोनिक्स को यूज करते मेमोरी को पढ़ लिया। बट अगर मैं लिख दूं 6 नंबर्स, 315126, सो नाउ विच इज इजी फॉर यू टू मेमोराइज, 315126 और मेमोरी, ऑब्वियसली मेमोरी। सो ये पैटर्न की प्रॉब्लम्स देखी गई और इसको सबसे पहले रोमन्स और ग्रीक ने समझा कि ये कहीं पे नंबर्स के ना फोनिक्स नहीं है, नंबर्स आर डांसिंग नंबर्स। 315 का 513 हो जाएगा और 153 हो जाएगा, वो हम समझ नहीं पाएंगे। सो उसके लिए उन्होंने क्या किया, एक नया मेथड बनाया, फोनिक्स मेथड, जिसके थ्रू उन्होंने हर नंबर का एक फोनिक्स दिया। और वो बड़े बड़े नंबर भी एक वर्ड फॉर्म हो जाता है अगर आपको वो मेथड पता हो। तो दैट इज हाउ इट स्टार्टेड। तो नंबर्स के लिए अलग हुआ, वर्ड्स के लिए फिर कुछ और निकल के आया कि डिफिकल्ट टर्मिनोलॉजी कैसे याद किया जाए। तो इस तरीके से दैट इज हाउ इट स्टार्टेड, एंड स्टार्टेड वे बैक, बहुत समय पहले।
Thank you so much. Very, very interesting. I think, but I'm not sure how the participants joining us from south of India, if they have really caught on that. But that is a very interesting description on how actually it all began. Um, Sir, before I think the first thing which comes to mind is I believe this is applicable to all ages. Yeah, is that true?
Yeah,
Or
it's applicable to all ages, sir. All ages. Anyone. It can start from a 2-year-old child to anyone who's interested in memory, whether he's 70 years old, 80 years old, anyone whosoever is interested in actually improving his or her memory can actually use these methods on day-to-day life, whether it is about forgetting something like mobile रख के कहीं भूल गए, or maybe forgot to recollect where I have kept my car keys, or did I switch off the lights of my car. So ये डे टू डे लाइफ के भी कुछ पॉइंटर्स हैं जिसमें it can help you in actually removing your issues.
so if I were to take that a little forward, let's say there are people who believe that I have a very bad memory. So is that really true? How do we work around it?
देखिए ये बहुत ही क्वेश्चन ऐसा है. दिस इज a question which every parent and every individual has in mind ki whether I have a bad memory or I have a good memory, or whether when I'm aging and I'm losing memory, there is any correlation or not, right? So first and foremost thing, there is nothing like good memory or bad memory. Everybody has the same memory. Only thing is how we actually use it. Most importantly, what memory is like our body. If I'm going to gym every day and I'm exercising, I'll have better muscles than anyone who's not going to the gym, right? Or not exercising. And I have a toned body, I have better muscles. And maybe after 6 months of going to gym, I decide one day that now I'm not going to go to the gym and I'm not exercising for the next 6 months. What will happen? My body shape will go back to its normal one, जो पहले थी, right? So our body and our brain both work in the similar fashion. It is just use it or lose it proposition. If you are not using, our memory will actually become bad. And if we are using on a regular basis, our memory will always be good. The day we keep on aging. हम लोग जब age हो रहे होते हैं, we are not studying now, and on a day-to-day basis, we have our personal assistants who are actually recording our day. There are mobiles and other things wherein we are recording our schedule for the day. So actually, we are not using our memory. This is the reason we, after a few years of not using our brain properly, we tend to forget things. But you see, if you are regularly using it, you are actually toning it by actually memorizing certain things every day. It is not going to happen that you have a bad memory or good memory. You'll always have confidence on your memory.
So I think what follows is, if I want to memorize a big chunk, if I want to memorize a large paragraph, or I don't know, from a student's context, if I want to memorize a long answer, etc., how does that work? How do I build it? How do I build around it?
See, there are a number of methods to memorize a long answers. Like if there are answers in points, there is a different method. If there is answer in paragraph, there is a different method. But if there is a definition, there is a different method. Number of methods are there. But since we have a time constraint, so I will give you some idea about things. As I told you, when there is a small child who's going to the pre-primary section, is able to memorize a 40 lines poem very easily. But a student who's going to college and he has to memorize 2 3 lines definition, he's unable to do that, and he's actually struggling. So why it happens? See, the first method that was introduced in mnemonics was rhyme method, right? Rhyme method. So what these students can do, which is actually going to help them to memorize their definitions, like if they have to memorize matter is a substance which has weight and occupies space, right? So इसको उनको बार बार बोलना पड़ता है, and then they feel yes, I have now I think it is there in my memory. But अगर इसको हम लोग किसी ट्यून में बनाते हैं, जैसे if we try to see, you select any song, you will see that if I ask you to write a song that it is there in your memory, you will write by actually singing it, right? And then you keep on writing. आपके सारे words वो हैं, चाहे 50 years back you have actually listened to that particular song. So then too it is there in your memory. So हम लोग क्या कहते हैं, अगर आपको बड़े आंसर्स याद करने हैं तो उसको क्या कर सकते हैं, पिक अप योर मोबाइल, ऑडियो ऑन कीजिए और उसको एक धुन में बना दीजिए उस पर्टिकुलर आंसर को, और रिकॉर्ड करके छोड़ दीजिए। जब फ्री हो तो उसको बस एक बार ऑन कर दीजिए, सुन लीजिए। आपका चाहे आप कितनी भी अच्छी आपकी ट्यून हो, चाहे कितनी भी खराब हो, आपको वो याद रहेगी। एंड बेस्ट वे इज जस्ट ट्राई वंस। आपको अभी इम्प्रैक्टिकल कभी कभी लगता है इन सब चीजों में, बट एक्चुअली व्हेन यू डू इट you actually see कि actually it's working. So anything which is working for you, we really need to take it further. Other than that, अगर और जो हमारे methods हैं, I will what we can do is we can uh, or I can share with you the PDF file of my book. You can share with your students, which actually will help them in memorizing long theory and other things also. And if they wish to buy, they can buy from Amazon, Flipkart, and everywhere. My books are available there also.
Tell us more about the general content of what's there in the books, and
Yeah.
how it's helpful. I'm getting a lot of there are a couple of people who are actually beginning to interact, and someone who's keenly following us has also requested that we keep the conversation in English, because I think there are a couple of people who are not very who are joining us from southern parts as well. So tell us something about this book and the contents of this book, what it's about.
See, I have written two books. One is on memory, that how we can memorize things fast, how we can retain it for a longer period of time, and how we can recollect it at the right time. So if we divide our studies, it will be divided into a few parts. One, we'll be having difficult terminology, that is biological names or maybe chemical names or these type of names, or maybe rulers and emperors names जो बहुत difficult है. Second is a long theory or maybe anything related to theory. Third comes numbers, that is history date, melting point, boiling point, atomic number, atomic mass, or these things. And then fourth comes the diagrammatic representations. So these are four different aspects of studies in general. So we have covered all these points in our book. They can read different chapters which will help them in actually memorizing difficult terminology. Some will help them in long theory. So one book is on memory only, the other book is on exams, which is like how you can prepare your exams. If there are only two options, one, after giving exam you are either successful or maybe you just missed, right? So if you won, how to handle your success, that is also very important. We have seen many students who score very good marks in exams and then they become overconfident and next exam they actually struggle. So how to handle the success, that is also important. So we have mentioned how to handle your success. And if you have failed or maybe you've struggled a little, so how we can actually maintain the positivity and actually we can plan in a better way. So exams decoded book has these things also, and few mantras on how they can actually study in a better way. And along with that, we have other things related to your pattern of studies, that how much we should study in one go, or maybe why we commit silly mistakes in exams, and these many things are also there in that.
Thank you. I think a little more on this, how much you should study in a day, etc., or connected to the patterns, etc. A lot of times we find that people are unable to manage their time, during a day, or maybe connected to this, by how much they should study, or are they able to use their time effectively, or they use their time well. Your thoughts on this? How
See,
do
time management is most important for students. When actually they are school students or maybe college students, they spend approximately 10 to 12 hours a day, at least 10 to 12 hours a day with their books. Either they are in school, they are listening to the lectures, or they are studying in the coaching institute, or they are studying at home when they are doing the self-study. So, what we feel, when you are actually attending a class, you are listening to what the teacher is saying, you're trying to understand that, but you are not memorizing it. You memorize a subject when you are actually sitting alone at home and you're doing your self-study. So self-study is something which is very important. So when we see a student's day-to-day life, we have seen that students approximately get around 10 to 12% of their regular time for self-study, because they have their transit time, they have their eating time, they have to get ready, they have to do a lot of things, and at the same time they have to sleep also, they have to go to college or school. So hardly they have 10 to 12% time on a day-to-day to for self studies. So, Bobby, this is also for those students who are actually very organized, those who have kept their schedule like this, that whatever the situation may be, if their study time is 4 to 6, they will study between 4 to 6 only. Whether they have unexpected guests at home, whether they have any function or any such thing, then only they have 12% time for self study every day. But if you're a little flexible, it is around 6 to 7% only. 6 to 7% means around 1.5 hours to 2 hours a day on a continuous basis for 365 days, which is around 730, 750 hours in a year for self-study. And every student has around 6 to 7 subjects. So means if you have 700 hours in a year for self-study, means for each subject you have only 100 hours. And in for one subject, you will see that there are around 10 to 12 chapters minimum. There are some subjects which have around 20 chapters also. So now we know we have very little time for each subject, for memorization also, for revision also, and anything that we need to do or at home in terms of self-study. So it means when we have little time, so when we are going for self-study, we really have to be very focused that whether we are able to utilize that time properly or not. And here the problem is, when the students are actually going for the self-study, they have number of things running in their mind. They have just started studying, and another 10 minutes they'll say, I need to go to the washroom. Then after 15 minutes, they'll say, I'm a little hungry. Then they'll say, Ki, I need to call up my friend. I need to talk to him because he has a better notes on this particular topic. Let me ask him. If he'll send it, then he'll say, I need to take a printout of it. Then after some time, they might say, Ki, there is a reference book kept in another room. Let me get up and take it from there. So and after 20 minutes they have another bing in their mobile on that there is a message or notification. So actually they have not started the self-study time. The self-study time has not started. They are actually fooling around. They themselves know, but they are actually showing people that we are really busy, we are studying, and or they are not utilizing those 2 hours or 1 hour, whichever time they have fixed for the self-study things. So my takeaway is, before actually you start studying, you need to ask few questions from yourself. One, do I need to drink water? Do I need to go to the washroom? Am I hungry? Do I need to ask anything from my friends, or any support book required for this? If all these things are okay, then the sixth most important question, why do I keep my mobile in the same room where I'm studying? Let me put it on silent and keep it on in the next room, because you're not at all important for anyone. We must understand. You are no one for anybody. There is no important call which is going to come on your mobile that if you not receive it, there'll be some problem in the city. So nothing will be of that sort. And seventh most important thing, we really need to declutter our table. If we are there in the school or college, there is a teacher who's teaching chemistry, you've never seen that there is physics teacher also coming up and saying, I will also teach physics, you teach chemistry. So it's not that happening in the college or school or classroom. So when it is not happening there, why do we keep physics book on our table when we are studying chemistry? We need to avoid distractions. We need to declutter our table. We need to keep only those things on our table which are actually required for that particular subject. So this is important. And now comes the retention part. This is about managing the time. But your second question in the same conversation was, ki, how do we have a better retention, or what should be the time duration? See, these two are very important questions. Most of the time, we start studying, and we see our graph is going up. We are able to memorize, we are able to memorize, and now, no, 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 we are unable to memorize. Let me take a break, right? I'm tired, right? Up overflow, right? Something of that sort comes to your mind. So you take a break. So we need to understand that whenever we are studying, our brain will have different kind of concentration level for different kind of content. That is, we need to understand. If you are memorizing something for the first time, we require 100% concentration. If we are revising, agar there is some disturbance also, nothing much to do about it because we are just revising, right? If we are doing a practical subject, for instance, we are doing maths, your concentration level or time will increase because you are doing it, right? So memorization, for memorization you require 100% concentration, and for that we must understand that our brain cannot concentrate for more than 45 to 50 minutes in one sitting. That is why you see the school, if you study the school pattern, you see that there is a period of 30 to 40 minutes or 45 or 50 minutes, not more than that. You'll never see that there is a period for 2 hours in a school. So why it is like that, that 45 minutes of period, then one teacher goes, the other teacher comes, and there is a break of 2 3 minutes. Students actually drink water, they eat something, they talk to their friends, and then the moment the another teacher comes, and they are back to their normal classroom discussion. So when they are studying for memorizing a new subject, your study duration should not exceed for more than 45 minutes, and take a short and crisp break of 10 minutes or maybe 5 minutes. And do not use your mobile in between. Do not use your Facebook and Twitter and these things. No mobile or something. No TV screen. You just have to drink water or do some or the other thing जो आप स्कूल में करते हैं या कॉलेज में करते हैं, because वहाँ पे आपके पास मोबाइल नहीं रहता है. So similar thing you need to do here also, and then you can go back to your studies. So breaks are very important if you really want your memory to be better. And one more thing, इसी से correlate हो रहा है, that is why I'm continuing, sir. Retention is important. Today, if we memorize something, after 15, 20 days or 1 month, when we try to study that thing again, we see that some things are not there in your mind. You need to memorize it again. We need to understand that our forgetting cycle of a brain is like such that after memorizing something, which varies from content to content, for some content, the retention is more, and for some content, the retention is very less. For instance, you must have seen we introduce ourselves to someone. I'm Tushar, and you said, I'm Shoury Kuttappa, and within a second, we say, what did he say? It is not there in our mind. What was his name? Now it is embarrassing to ask him again, right? So for some things, the retention is very bad. If you see the periodic table, kids memorize hydrogen, helium, lithium, barium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, like this. 1 to 10 they memorize, 10 to 20 they memorize, 20 to 30 the moment they go, they keep losing the first few. Then 30 to 40, 40 to 50 they lose few more. So means retention is a problem. Right? Retention is a problem, and here we need to understand the functioning of the brain. There is a research being done wherein we try to study why kids are unable to retain, or how they can retain it for a longer period of time. So almost all the memory trainers of the world, they keep doing these types of experiments with their students. In the experiments, what we do, we call around 1,000 students in the auditorium, or maybe 500, depending upon the capacity of the auditorium, and we divide the students into two groups. One group this side, one group this side, and we call the same class students. 10 standard students are there, so 10 standard students will be there, 11 standard to 11 standard. So now there are two different groups here, and we teach them for 1 hour. In this 1 hour, we do not explain them anything, we just give them informations. Like melting point for lead is 327, or maybe atomic number 99 is Einsteinium, or maybe 1905 it's partition of Bengal, or maybe capital of Bulgaria is Sofia. Like these type of information we just keep giving, wherein there is no explanation required, right? We keep giving them for 1 hour, wherein around 120, 130 different informations are being imparted to the students. Then we ask one group, that is maybe group B, we ask them to leave. We say, now work is done, you can leave. And we ask group A to relax for 5 minutes, have water or something, whatever they want to do for next 5 minutes by the time these people are vacating the auditorium. And then we ask these students, once the auditorium is vacated, group A is there. Now we say, whatever we have taught you in this 1 hour, we'll start the slideshow on the screen. You just have to read it. Just have to read it, and the slideshow will be on for only 20 minutes. Only 20 minutes it will be on. You have 20 minutes time to just read it one more. So after 20 minutes, we ask these students also to leave. Now you can also go. They go back, and then we call them after 2 months, 2.5 months, again the same place, same place. Now this time they have to appear for a test, which they don't know. And we have seen that the performance of group A students who were asked to revise it once more for the next 20 minutes were able to score 40% more than the students who were not allowed. So from here came a method called actually overlearning process. We call this method, that whatever time you have spent on memorizing a particular subject, after taking a break, when you go back, do not start reading from where you have left. Rather, if you have studied for 1 hour, when you're going back after a break of 10 minutes, you need to spend 20 minutes more on the same content which you have studied right now. Then your retention will be little more or much more than the in the first case. So immediate revision, immediate reading will really help you in actually retaining it for a longer period of time, and for the next 2 3 months it will be there in your memory. And we all know that the way our education system is designed, every 2 3 months we have some or the other assessments or test or examination, so you will be doing that revision, and it will again be there in your memory for a long period of time.
Thank you so much. I think there's a lot of there are a lot of thoughts, perspectives, etc. pouring in. I thought I'll read one perspective out, which is shared by Miss Savita. And Miss Savita says, how do I make students whom we count as slow learners grasp their concepts? How much ever we encourage them, rarely do their grades improve.
So this is something, sir. You have to add something, or shall I take?
That's the perspective which came.
So may I?
Yes, please go on.
So I'll give you a story. Uh, Through a story, you will be able to understand it in a better way. This is a story of a small elephant, baby elephant. Baby elephant is born, and he's there with the trainer. So the trainer is training the baby elephant, and every day he's training the elephant. And then after the end of the day, he uses a chain, और एक पोल में उस चेन को लगाया, एंड देन उसके पैर में लगा के उसको कहा कि अब यहाँ पे खड़े रहना है. Baby elephant tried number of times to break that chain, and he failed because that chain is really very strong, and baby elephant is very tiny, so unable to break the chain. And every day after the training, the trainer is doing the same thing, right? So that this baby elephant doesn't go anywhere. Now, days turn into months, months into years. And now that baby elephant is not baby anymore. Now he is a mammoth, giant elephant. After the whole day's training, the trainer is doing the same thing. And now this elephant can easily move and go. But we must understand from this that the trainer is using the same chain, same pole, and the same elephant, but now the size has changed. But he's standing there. Why it is that? Because that elephant tried number of times initially, but failed. So that elephant thought that I can fight with anyone, but I cannot fight with this chain. So these students who've been given this tag of slow learners, actually, we are doing the same thing with them. So really, encouragement, आपने जैसे लिखा, you have mentioned that we keep encouraging them, must be doing it. I understand. But actually, after a lot of encouragement, you'll see that there'll be some change. Sometimes it happens that they are using a wrong method, because of which they are struggling. But the right method can actually help them. I'll give you some tricks. For instance, how a brain works, we need to understand that. So, पहली चीज तो we must encourage them, and we need to encourage them without fail, and never say that he's a slow learner. My request to you, and हो सकता है आप उन्हें नहीं बोलते होंगे certainly, बट कहीं ना कहीं हमारे एक्शन से ना उनको फील होने लगता है, या उनके फ्रेंड्स के एक्शन से उनको फील होने लगता है, या मे बी उनके जो नियर एंड डियर वंस हैं उनके एक्शन से उनको फील होने लगता होगा. But at least हम as an educators, we as an educators, we really need to help them in coming out of this situation. So now, if they need to memorize something, for instance, because I know time is limited, and
Please
we
go on.
cannot
Please go on.
have, yeah, a lot of things, but yes, certain things can be taken care of here. Like if they need to memorize something, how a brain works is any new information that comes in, if by default that new information gets connected with any information which is already there in our memory, then the retention becomes better. Like for instance, my name is Tushar, and your brother's name is also Tushar, you will never forget, right? Because you have this thing in your mind, right? But if I say my name is Lee Tran Trong An, or maybe Tree Tran Thi Hang, so now it is a difficult word for you, or maybe difficult name for you, because this is a Vietnamese name. I know because he's my friend, and but you are new to this particular name, so the retention will be bad, right? You will have to really work hard to memorize this name, because you this is a new information for you. And when you talk about a student, every time there are bombardment of new admission, new actually informations, which they have to retain. Some students require little more time. So for them, it is even more important to use these type of methods. Like for instance, if I ask you to memorize country and capitals, I give you a country and a capital. There is a country named Bulgaria, and the capital is Sofia. You have to memorize it. How will you memorize it? You will memorize like Bulgaria, Sofia, Bulgaria, Sofia, Bulgaria, Sofia, Bulgaria, Sofia. You'll keep repeating, and then it will be there in your memory. Or maybe if I say there's a country, Italy, and the capital is Rome. So you memorize it like this: Italy, Rome, Italy, Rome, Italy, Rome, Italy, Rome, like this, right? Here, we as a memory expert, we say no. Don't use these type of methods, because this is repetitive learning. We must have a strong association between the question and the answer. Means left hand side equals to right hand side, and there should be strong connections. Whenever we are asking them, Bulgaria, Sofia should be there without fail. So how do we do it? The moment you have any new information, encourage your children. This will help them in memorizing only few words and definition, minister and portfolio, like these type of objective questions, not in long answers. This is for difficult, objective type questions. So Bulgaria is a country and the capital is Sofia. Now I have to memorize. What will I do? I break this word into two parts. Bulgaria, anything similar which is there in my memory. Bulgaria, Bulgaria, Bulgir gaya. That is there in my mind. Now where? Sofia, 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 sofa. Wool गिर गया कहाँ पे? Sofa पे. So that will be an image for this particular content. Or maybe Italy, Rome. Italy, sunke, what is coming to your mind? Maybe Italy, Rome, room. What whenever I'm eating idli, I'm not eating anywhere else but in my room. So that will help you in memorizing things fast. So these students who have little issues, they really need a simpler method so that in one go they memorize and in one go they are able to recollect. So whenever all the people who are actually watching this session or maybe the recorded session in coming days, whenever I will ask them in after 10 years also, what is the capital of Bulgaria? Without fail, they will tell us Bulgaria kahan? Sofa. And Sofa will give you a clue that Sofia is the answer. Or whenever I say Italy, you will recollect Italy and where we are eating in a room. So it will give you a clue that room. So we have to make things very simple for these kids rather than complicating them. This helps them in even memorizing periodic table and other things also, but it'll become a little complicated here. But if you read the book, you will get better methods even more. Yeah.
Thank you. One more perspective, I think, and that's the last one. I'm just reading out from Mr. Vivek Tiwari. Thank you so much for sharing your perspectives with us. Mr. Vivek Tiwari says, several times it's found that children are forced by their parents to opt a certain stream, example, science or commerce, in which they don't have interest, but parents don't understand that. So his query or his perspective is on how do you train the mind of such children to help them get their subjects? Little I think if I were to interpret the understanding of this, the query is about, students who are now forced into a situation, or students who are by default in a situation, either because of parents or anything, or because maybe their plan A didn't actually take shape. So if you're now in plan B, how do the students actually, sort of move forward, or how do they then cope with a subject which is probably not in their hearts, you know? Uh, I think an associated thing could also be, um, how do I, when it's not in my heart and I have poor concentration, yeah, because of some reason, whatever, external, internal, there's something which is not in my heart, and as a result, I'm suffering from poor concentration. So how do I build on my concentration?
See, the this question says that there are many kids who've been forced to take a particular subject, right? So how do we actually move and take subjects of our choice, or if we have taken a subject of our parents' choice? So, how do we, if we are taking our parents' this thing, choice of subjects, then how do we tackle this? One thing
I think
we must, yeah,
I think half of the thing is self-explanatory. We must always try to focus on where our core. It could be our core skills, our core talent, etc. So not going towards that direction, assuming there is a situation where my plan A did not work for some reason which is beyond my control, yeah, and I am now in plan B. Uh, how do I how do I bring passion into it is a discussion for a separate day. We'll keep that aside. But how do I bring concentration into something which is not probably was not probably my plan A?
okay.
Something like that.
See, concentration is something for which we require a lot of interest. If we are not interested in something, our concentration will not be the same. That we must understand. This is how our brain works. So, for instance, one night before going to bed, you said, tomorrow morning I'm going to do this particular thing. You started your day, and in the night again, you said, "Oh my God, I forgot I'm to do this particular job." This happens. This is normal, right? For many people, or maybe almost everyone. Some or the other day we forget something. Let's take another situation. I'm trying to explain it so that you are able to relate it why interest is important. Now, I'll give you another situation. For instance, today you're going for a party or something, and there a reporter from Times of India came to you, and that person clicked your photograph and said, and took your interview and said, tomorrow morning you can see your interview in tomorrow's Times of India with your photograph. What will be the first thing that we'll be doing tomorrow? We'll be looking for the newspaper without fail. Till the time we have read the newspaper, we will be actually uh, not comfortable, or we want to read it whether by hook or by crook. Whether we do not have that newspaper here in our house, we'll go to some other neighbor's house, or we'll ask for that newspaper, or maybe we would like to see it online. So, in first case, we were actually forgetting whatever uh, was giving commanded to our brain. But next day, different situation happened. There was no command being given to your brain, but it was there in your memory that you have to look for that newspaper. So, why it is like that? We must understand tomorrow morning we were looking for the newspaper because we knew that it is related, that there is a news which is related to us. That is I. If I am present, my interest will be there. If there is an interest, then only there will be some concentration, better concentration. So if the subject is not according to my interest, so then what do we do? We have to make it interesting, because now we have opted that subject. Now, how do we make it interesting? Right? Then only the concentration will increase. Means now there is something being served on your platter. Means sometimes this happens that there is a vegetable being cooked at home which is not tasty. What do? We try to add some salt, we try to add some lemon, we try to add some other masala kind of a thing. Then we feel that now it is interesting, right? Now it is not that bland. So if there is a subject being served to you by someone which is not actually according to your taste, what you need to do? You have to make it interesting. How? So there comes the role of mnemonics again. You, the moment you start using mnemonics, you will see that your concentration span will increase, right? Because if you've been given a particular subject, you have only one option. You have only one option to succeed. You have to do well, and if you will be able to do it if you actually have faith on your memory. So whatever the content is, our concentration should remain same, right? Whether it is physics, whether it is bio, whether it's chemistry, whether it's math, whether it's English, whether it's Hindi, whether it's Sanskrit, or whether it's any other thing. If it is there in your course book, your concentration has to be 100%. And for that, you really need to use salt, lemon, or any other thing to make it interesting. So, important point is you have to make it interesting. And for that, these little tips of memory will certainly help you. I'll certainly send you the PDF file, sir, and would request you
Yes,
to share
yes,
with all your students also.
yes, yes, of course, yes, of course. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I really wish we had more time, but we'll have to we'll have to sort of curtail the discussion here. Yeah, very, very rich, and I'm sure, judging by the thoughts, etc., perspectives which you shared, I see a lot of blood flowing. I see a lot of interest generated, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of people reconnecting with us on the subject. As mentioned earlier, Amrita Cafe aims at serving as a forum to table challenges and explore solutions to cope with the current education scenario. Please do write to us at Amrita. Contact details have been made available. We would love to hear from you on areas that may be included in forthcoming sessions of Amrita Cafe, where we aim to provide insightful information to usher transparency in and around education. I'd like to close this forum by thanking all of you for your presence and views, which will be compiled. Dr. Tushar, thank you so much for being with us today at Amrita Cafe to share insights. I would also like to highlight the efforts of the team behind Amrita Cafe, Parvati and Sakshi, who have made things possible and seamless. Dr. Tushar, thank you once again from Amrita. Thank you so much for your time and uh, making this session that much more richer.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to address your uh, clients and your students and your the other educations that you have in your panel. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and it was really an interesting session interacting with you, and the kind of questions that we got were actually interesting. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.